Hi, my name is Brian. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Orange County Convention Center. The convention center is actually made up of three total buildings that would be the north, south, and west. Each building together would compile to make a total of 7 million square feet of total space, which would actually make it the second largest convention center in the United States or North America, second only to McCormick Place. A couple of the major conventions that it's hosted that would be noteworthy would be Star Wars conventions, MegaCon, the AAU Junior National Volleyball Championship, the Premier Beauty Show, many others, but those were some of the more noteworthy ones that I came across through my research. Some of the expected arrivals is annually, every year, they expect about 1.4 million people to attend their different conferences throughout the year. And historic numbers is actually in the year 2016 to 2017, they had 1.35 million expected for the year. However, they actually ended up with an additional 136,000 additional attendees that also joined them, which really rounded out the 1.4 million attendees for the year, which is quite a few. Revenue generated by the center, based off of the total gross profit that they ended up with the year for 2016 to 2017, they ended up with a total of $78.7 million in additional revenues. After all of that was paid out, they had 4.6 million in surplus for their usage that they have not decided for yet. The economic impact on the area is they actually end up generating a total of $2.4 billion a year for the entire area of Orlando or Orange County. The government incentive for that generation of $2.4 million would come through as the tourist development tax. This tax is basically generated through the hotel guests that stay in the area for the conventions, and basically the more hotel guests that stay, the more generation of this tax will be delivered to the Orange County Convention Center. And in the 2016-2017 year, this tax led to a $254 million payday for the convention center. A little bit of history. The center was first an idea in 1976 and was really kind of built upon in 5 different phases, which led to the 7 million square feet total for the convention center itself and the 3 total buildings. The initial building was the West Building, and it was set to be 325 total square feet. However, after the 5th phase, the North and South Building were completed, and the 700 million was totaled. Throughout that time, the way that the different buildings and the progression of the phases was able to continue was through the raising of the tourist development tax from the initial 2% when it was first brought about in 1976 to 5% by 1989. So with that raise, we were able to continue growing as a convention center. Another noteworthy thing for the history was after the 5th phase was completed, they actually began connecting additional hotels so that guests of the hotel would have more access to the facilities. Strengths, I would say the major strength would be the Orlando area. It is very tourist oriented, so a lot of guests do not have a problem with buying a plane ticket to come here. Weaknesses is lack of advertising to the locals, I would say. There's a lot of missed opportunities that the center could take better advantage of. And again, opportunities is the next step. If they could really bring in the locals, they could begin to generate a more consistent revenue stream compared to the inconsistent tourist. Threats, I would say being a convention center in the city of tourists, you could be easily overshadowed by the theme parks, and a tourist could be traveling here and not even understand that there is a convention center or a major convention going on. So again, that goes back to the opportunities and the weaknesses. I think if they advertise a little bit better, as well as put themselves out there a little bit more, they would be able to better find more guests. Chief competitors, I would say, would be the Orlando World Center Marriott, for the locals at least. It is a very large area that could easily poach off any local conventions that the Orlando or Orange County Convention Center was looking to enjoy. Other than that, strictly for their size and their ability to take large conventions away from the Orange County Convention Center, I picked McCormick Place and the Las Vegas Convention Center. McCormick Place is the largest convention center in the North America area, and the Las Vegas Convention Center is the third largest. Orlando sits right in the middle, and these two could easily poach off any large conventions away from them. Industry trends. According to the Orlando Convention Center website, essentially the industry is growing, at least in Orlando, by 2% annually. And when it comes to the local community and the destination itself, with more theme parks coming about, more attractions growing in the current theme parks, you can really only expect a growth in tourist industry. And yes, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure.